Hello YouTube, and welcome to yet another Doctor Who DVD review. In this DVD review I shall be reviewing the final William Hartnell story, which is the 10th Planet. In my eyes this is a fairly iconic story because it is the last William Hartnell story, and it also introduces one of the Doctor's most iconic foes, the Cybermen. So yeah, let's have a look at the DVD cover, and then all the artwork and all that snazzy stuff, and then we'll look at my thoughts at the story itself. Okay, so the cover has the standard generic TARDIS roundels, Doctor Who, the 10th Planet. Then we have William Hartnell there. Then we have some 10th Planet Cybermen. Then we have Mondas and Telos. That's a bit confusing. 2-disc set, PG. William Hartnell years there in a blue banner. I do like the artwork on this, it is really cool. A nice picture of William Hartnell in a TARDIS, looking rather stern and quite grumpy, probably because it's his last story, and after seeing Adventure in Space and Time, you probably know why he was a bit reluctant to leave. On the spine we have this nice sort of snowy sort of background. It carries on that sort of blue effect there, all very nice. On the back we have some actual pictures from the story. You see there. The story is by Kit Pedler and Jerry Davis. This DVD contains episode 4, which has been animated, which was this story was first released on DVD in the Regeneration box set, and this was later released, and it was later released singly back in October or November. I think it was, I'm not exactly sure. Total running time of this story is 93 minutes. So if we look inside the DVD, we have a lone 10th Planet Cyberman there, with Mondas and Earth being there. And on the first disc we've just got William Hartnell and a Cyberman and Earth, and then which is Mondas is the Earth's twin planet. And then we have some Cybermen there with not Telos, I'm getting mixed up here, Earth, or one of the planets or feature in the story. So yeah, let's look at the special features for this DVD. So if I just remove the booklet, and then I shall go through them. I'll just put that right there. Okay, so the special features are, on disc 1 we have commentary and Frozen Out, which is the making of the story, which is really interesting because it shows the grumpy side of Hartnell and how difficult he was to work with, but I prefer to think of Hartnell as that sort of very misunderstood person in Adventure in Space and Time. Also on disc 1 we have episode 4 VHS reconstruction, which was released on video on VHS back in 2000. Then we have radio times listings, production subtitles, photo gallery, and the coming soon trailer, which is the moon base, the second Cyberman story. On disc 2 we have the recently discovered, well sort of recently discovered, William Hartnell interview, which was done a couple of weeks before this story aired, with him talking about how he thinks he'll get into another sort of major role, but sadly that wasn't the case due to his illness. Doctor Who stories, Annika Wilkes looks back at her time on Doctor Who. This was originally from the story of Doctor Who in 2003, The Golden Age. Now this is a pretty interesting special feature because it talks about how people say different eras of Doctor Who as the Golden Age. Some people say the 70s, 60s, 80s, what have you. It's all fairly interesting. And then we have Boys, Peter Purvis, Fraser Hines and Mark Strickson reminisce about their times in the TARDIS, because they did a girls one, so I think it's only fair they did the male companions as well. Then we've got companion pieces, that's a psychologist talking about what it takes to be the Doctor's companion, and Blue Peter. And on the back of the little booklet we have the chapter points and some more pictures. Okay, so considering this is meant to be the last William Hartnell story, you would expect the Doctor to feature in practically in every scene, like the time of the Doctor. But sadly, this isn't the case. For William Hartnell, during filming of episode 3, he collapsed and was sadly had to be taken out of filming of episode 3, and his sort of dialogue was changed to fit around Ben and Polly and one of the other science people. So Hartnell doesn't really feature heavily in this story, but he does return in episode 4 to do the regeneration and do a few scenes. Now this is quite sad really, because during the build up of this story, Anneke Wilkes said that he was really going for it, you know, trying to prepare, trying to perfect his performance, because this is practically his last hurrah as the Doctor. So you can understand why he wanted to get his performance just spot on. But sadly, that didn't happen, so I sort of feel sorry for him, but he didn't really get the sort of performance that he wanted to get. But still, it's fine. The story still works with Ben and Polly, because, let's be honest, there aren't many Ben and Polly stories what exist fully, or, you know, we've only got 3, well, possibly 4 when the Underwater Menace gets released. So I think it's nice that this story features Ben and Polly quite heavily, and they take on the sort of role of the Doctor in a way. But yeah, let's talk about the Cybermen now. This is their first story, as I've said. It is fantastic. I do like this design. I do like the 10th Planet Cybermen, because they've still got something human left in them. In the moon base, they have a drastic redesign. There's no sort of human elements left. You know, there's no sort of human hand showing. It's completely changed. But because the costumes were bulky, they had to redesign them, which is a shame. But I find them really creepy, you know, with the sort of cloth faces. I just find them quite menacing, and the animation for episode 4, they just look even more terrifying in animation form, and if this story was in colour, I don't think the Cybermen, well, this design of Cybermen would work as well as it did in black and white. It's like the Web of Fear. I can't imagine it having the same sort of atmosphere as it in black and white. But the animation is fantastic. The likenesses are brilliant. I have to say, this is my favourite William Hartnell animated story. Well, it's only got 1 episode, but I think they really did tone down the sort of movement, because the Reign of Terror, practically every second there's a bit of movement in the characters, and it just looked a bit cartoony, where this they've sort of toned down the expressions and everything, so it sort of seems a bit more lifelike. The animation also, at the end of episode 4, it also hints in the Doctor will return in Power of the Daleks, which is sadly missing. But yeah, it is an interesting sort of thing to keep in there. It sort of does feel like it is carrying on the story in a way, but it's sort of going, right, Power of the Daleks is next week, and you can see this wonderful new Doctor. The regeneration itself is done really well. If you think back at the time when this was made, that must have been quite shocking, going, hang on, the Doctor's changing, I don't know what to say to this. So yeah, the regeneration I think is done really well, and it still does stand up pretty well to the other regenerations. So my final thoughts on this story are, it's a definite get for me, because it has 2 landmark features: last William Hartnell story, and it is the first ever Cyberman story, and I'm a big fan of the Cybermen. So just get it if you're a fan of the Cybermen. See how these beloved sort of metal foes came into Doctor Who. But yeah, just the 10th Planet is just brilliant. I do enjoy it. It's not the best Hartnell story. It is Hartnell-like, so if you're not a fan of the first Doctor era and you sort of want to try and give him a go, then definitely try this, because it doesn't feature him as heavily as other stories, which is a shame in my eyes, but he doesn't feature heavily in it. But what can you do? Yeah, so this has been my review of the 10th Planet. Hopefully this has been quite a good review. My next review will not be of a DVD, it will be of an audio, which is a Paul McGann audio, which is the ZYGON Who to Earth, which is the 8th Doctor and Lucy, which I'm excited to review. So yeah, this has been my review of the 10th Planet. Hopefully you've enjoyed it and all that. So yeah, thank you for watching and goodbye.